What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/PettyRevenge. Alright, this story is called We Don't Share Alcohol in This House. This story takes place a few years back when I came home from university for Christmas holidays to visit my family. I was of legal drinking age at the time as well. To set the scene, it's just my mom and I having dinner at the beginning of our time off. She pours herself a glass of wine from an average bottle. I'm not a wine snob, but she is. I ask for a glass as well to go with dinner. She declines. Her exact words are, "We don't share alcohol in this house." Okay, not a problem. I didn't know this rule, and as I'm not a heavy drinker, I didn't see the issue with just having a glass out of her bottle. So I go on off to the liquor store to grab myself a bottle to drink over the next few days, and lo and behold, I find her favorite bottle of wine. It's Burrowing Owls. The liquor store only has a case of it and limits the number of bottles you can buy. It's a rare find, and I lucked out. I buy the max, which is 2, and hid one while I bring the second inside. By now, it's evening, and after dinner, my mom is in the living room finishing her wine. I open the bottle and bring the bottle and a glass to the living room. My mom eyes up the bottle and asks for a glass. I look at her dead in the eyes and say, "Sorry, Mom, we don't share alcohol in this house." She offers me 2 of her bottles for mine. Says I won't know the difference, but I stand firm. We don't share alcohol in this house. So I force myself to finish the bottle in front of her while she sulks. Christmas morning, after my family has opened up all our gifts, I come out with the second bottle as a gift to my mom. She shared it with me that night. Hey, what a very nice, wholesome ending. I'm glad OP took the high road there. Makes for a great story. This story's called, You Want to Invade My Space with Your Car While I Wait for a Tow Truck? Hope you didn't have to rush off. This happened this afternoon. Today was balls hot, and between my car's AC not working and my body's habit of sweating puddles in anything over 70 degrees, my mood was already a bit thin. I was picking up some items from Home Depot and parked halfway in a quarter-full parking lot. Plenty of open spaces around. I haven't gone to the store much in the past few months, so while I was trying to remember the PPE order of operations, I absent-mindedly let my keys slip from my lap to the cup holder. I'm all kitted up and go get my stuff from the lockers and head back to the car. I start patting my pockets and feel that little ball of fear rolling around the pit of my stomach. I started walking faster, and as I get to my car, I see my keys in the cup holder. I'm standing there, staring through the window while sweating buckets from a 3-minute walk. Annoyed, but I contact roadside and get a truck dispatched quickly. As I'm leaning against the front of my car, a van comes down the lane on the opposite row and pulls into the spot right in front of my car. As the driver starts pulling closer to my legs, I shout, "Hold it!" and put my hand out. She stops the van about 1.5 feet from me and looks pissy, like hitting me would have inconvenienced her plans for the day. I look around at the 9 other open spots all next to or behind her in the area and gesture towards them. She gestures at me and mouths, "Why?" I guess she was asking me why I'm just standing there, and despite it not being any of her damn business, say I'm locked out of my car. She sits in her car for 5 minutes, just adding to the heat around me while I screw around on my phone. Eventually, she gets out, scowls at me, and goes inside. About 20 minutes after she went in, my tow truck shows up, but it's on the lane opposite me. I was feeling a bit petty, so I stopped the guy right behind the van, not thinking anything would come of it. Well, right as he goes to get the tools, van lady comes out of the store. She was lividly muttering to herself as she gets in her car and turns it on. I explain the basics of the situation, and he looks around at all the other still open spots in sheer confusion when a crap-eating grin comes across his face. He starts opening the door, taking a few extra minutes to make sure he does it right, and then has me sit in his air-conditioned cab while he fills out an order form because his phone was acting up. The dude probably took an extra 10 minutes to do his job while van lady is stewing in her annoyance. I appreciated the solidarity and threw him a few bucks for his service. He then made sure I got to leave first before rolling out. Dear tow truck guy, you rock. Edit some quick answers. I lock my door by hitting the door lock button on the door upon exiting the car. I may start using the key to lock, but I hate that damn confirmation hawk the car gives. I didn't call a tow truck. I contacted my insurance, who contacted a tow company who had a driver dispatched with door opening tools. In parking lots, there are usually 2 sets of parking spaces separated by a line. I was parked away from every other car. She decided to park in the space right in front of my car, and she was driving towards my legs. Not sure how much clearer I can make that. Edit 2. To everyone who commented it's possible to turn off the locking horn, you have just changed my life. Thank you. Why would she park right next to him? That's like going into a near empty restroom and using the urinal right next to the one other person in there. This story's called Won't Pronounce My Name Correctly? Okay, suit yourself. Obligatory apologies because I'm on mobile. So when I was in 3rd grade, think 8 years old, I had this teacher who was retiring at the end of the year and knew it. She decided that she didn't like me for some reason. So I have a very popular white girl name. For sake of anonymity, I'm gonna use a fake name here. Let's say my name is Bailey, pronounced Bailey. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, this teacher always pronounced it Bali. It hurt, cause I was like 8 and wanted to be called my own name. When I asked her why she pronounced my name wrong, she said it was because of her accent. Okay, fair. However, I had a classmate named Kaylee. Somehow, that accent disappeared and she was able to pronounce her name perfectly fine. Once I heard her call Kaylee by her proper name, I went right up to her with my 8-year-old bravery and asked her why she wouldn't say my name right, but she would say hers right. She didn't answer me, like legitimately ignored me. Okay, my turn. So this teacher's last name was pronounced something like Tainer. That was the way it was pronounced. And on the first day of that year, she made sure that we knew it was pronounced Tainer and not Tonner or Tanner. So guess who was called Mrs. Tonner for the rest of the year? The teacher who called me Bali. Oh, and as an added layer of beaver sausage, when we had parent-teacher conferences, she pronounced my name correctly. Interesting. Okay, that teacher just sounds incredibly dumb. Someone that immature should not be teaching kids, but good thing she's retired now, right? This story's called Payback for My Horrible Roommate. After college, I accepted a job across the country and moved in with a vague acquaintance I had met a couple of times. It quickly became clear that we were not going to get along. He was incredibly rude and condescending, routinely making snide remarks about my intelligence since I had been in a sorority in college. He would instruct me on how to redo all of my chores in his way, always insinuating that I just wasn't as smart as he was. This led to a few heated arguments, and we ended up basically avoiding each other. My room was in the basement, and he was on the 2nd floor. Except for going in and out, I stayed in the basement to avoid him. One night, I returned home and my cat was missing. He is a huge fatty and never misses a meal, so I was immediately worried. I texted the roommate to see if he had let him out by mistake. He ignored me. I looked everywhere in my room and in the common areas. No cat. I could hear that he was home, so I texted again, asking if he could please check his room, or just let me know if the cat got out by mistake. Again, no response. I couldn't search the neighborhood much after dark since we were in a pretty rough area, so I stayed up all night making flyers and online posts. I called animal control and my parents and broadly had a massive mental breakdown. I figured the most likely scenario was that he had escaped and wandered into the road. Early the next morning, Saturday, I looked all over our neighborhood. Losing hope, I returned back home. Right before I went back down to my half of the house, I heard a faint, distressed yowl. I followed the noise upstairs and realized it was coming from my horrible roommate's locked bedroom. I phoned him repeatedly and waited several hours for him to come home, unlock his door, and let my poor cat out of his closet. No explanation was given, and this cat, being an OG fatty and also a jerk, there is no way he silently slept all night. Simply put, there was no way this could have been an accident. At this point, we had 1 month left on the lease, and I was able to make arrangements to stay with family for that final month. Interestingly enough, our internet service was in my name. I paid the final month in full and loaded my stuff into a U-Haul. I gleefully unplugged and returned our rented router, and OG Fatty Cat and I left town a month early. Wouldn't you know it? Later that night, my phone starts blowing up with texts and calls. This man is looking for his missing internet. Somehow, I couldn't be bothered to respond. Okay, so I don't know about y'all, but that straight up sounds illegal. Not the internet thing, not the revenge, but the actual act that required the revenge. Like, locking a cat in a closet sounds like animal cruelty, but whatever, at least he's safe, and at least he went without internet for a little bit. This story's called, Use My Netflix Account for Free? Have an ugly profile pic. Okay, so this is truly a very small victory. So I got the highest tier of Netflix account, so I have the option to have 5 profiles. I have one for me, one for the kids, one for my wife, one as a joint profile for me and my wife, and the last one is for guests, basically freeloaders. One of the things you can do with Netflix is change the avatar of each profile, which I did for each account while leaving the guest account one of the defaults. My sister-in-law, crazy, rude, violent, just a really bad person, got permission from my wife to use the guest account, which I didn't mind as long as she only uses the guest account so she doesn't mess up my viewing stats and she understands she shares the account with more people. One day I've noticed that she changed the profile picture of the guest account to some actress from some show she was watching, and for some reason it really annoyed me. So, like the mature adult that I am, I've changed the profile photo to some ugly creature from some other show. Such a stupid little victory. If you're going to use my account for free, you will use the ugly profile. Every few weeks, she will try to change the pic again so I know she cares. But I will quickly notice and change it to something even uglier. The last one was the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. It's really petty and small, but it's fun to imagine her frustration to have to choose some ugly creature as the account she uses. I did the same thing. Like my cousins in New York, they use my Netflix profile, and I gave them one profile to use, and I told them they're not allowed to change it, and it just says Diddy in the profile picture, something stupid. I love it. This story's called Insult My Looks, Weight, and Fitness, and I Will Get My Slow Revenge. This happened decades ago, but it popped into my mind when reading this sub. In my 20s, I had the misfortune of falling in love with the wrong'un. He was always in debt because the bank was messing him around, unfaithful, she's lying, I never slept with her, and full of get-rich-quick schemes that his parents had to bail him out of. He was also incredibly beautiful, very vain, and fastidious about his looks. He worked out religiously, wore the most expensive clothes, and continuously told people how large his biceps and other things were. that kind of guy. I, on the other hand, was about 10 pounds overweight and not interested in having a six-pack, perfect eyebrows, and a tiny waist. So he was always insulting me about that. Not openly, but small, continuous digs about my size, shape, and weight, insinuating that he could do better. I found out one day that he was being unfaithful again, and it was the last straw. Unfortunately, we lived and worked together at his business, a hotel, so I had to find a new job and a place to stay. I didn't want to break up until I had. One of my few skills was invisible mending, which had come in very handy at the hotel. So every few days for 6 weeks, I altered his clothes. I took in the waists by tiny amounts and let out the chests and sleeves. I even let out his underpants so they became looser in the front. I got brave one week and took up the legs of his trousers so he thought he was getting shorter. He was too vain to tell anyone his problem. Instead, he went to the gym more, measured out his food more fastidiously, and became really irritable. As time went on, he broke up with his mistress, refused to go out, flung himself on the bed in despair more than once, and started to insult my looks even more to make himself feel better. And I still continued. A few millimeters here, a few millimeters there. By the end, he had convinced himself that he had a very weird shape. And the way I had altered his clothes, it really looked like he did. He went out and bought new ones. I altered them too. 6 weeks later, I found a new job and apartment and moved out one day when he was out. I have not spoken to him since. I often wonder if he ever realized what had happened. Okay, honestly, this seems a bit more than petty revenge. Like, she definitely did something clever there. Alright, last up is called, You Don't Think I Should Be Scared? I was picking up food last night, wore my N95 mask as usual. When I get back to the car, I get in and leave the door open while I'm situating the food in the passenger seat. Out of nowhere, I hear somebody really close to me say, "Hey!" Scared the crap out of me. I say, "Oh crap!" and turn, and there's this older lady like 2 feet away from my face, no mask, and well inside my door area. I couldn't close it without hitting her. She doesn't say sorry for scaring me. She says, "Oh please, it's not like I'm going to rob you," as if I have no right to be startled. I say I'm sorry, but it surprised me, and can you please step back a little? She says she was going to pay a compliment to my car, but she won't now. I say fine, please step away. She starts saying stuff like I'm taking this stuff too seriously. I call after her, "I'm doing this to protect you, boomer!" But it really pissed me off, like I don't have the right to be startled by her. So I see where she and her husband get into their car. After she gets in and closes the door, I hurry over to her side from the rear and knock on her window pretty hard and put my face really close to the window. Scared the crap out of her. For a second, I thought she might be having a coronary. When she recovered, I said, "Oh please, it's not like I'm gonna rob you. It's not fun being scared, is it?" I walk away as she's blathering on about something. Frickin' boomers! Couldn't have said it better myself. Be responsible, guys, not just boomers. Someone should organize a socially distant protest, so that way, we don't have to worry about spreading things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.